Hello, everybody. Give me one moment here. All right, welcome to Office Hours, ladies and gentlemen. This is a, how best to describe it? This is a live stream where we come talk about Star Citizen. So, moment is 90 seconds. Good to know. All right, let's get to the office, shall we? All right, welcome everybody. My name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender at the Astropub, your moderator on Captain's Table, and your professor at Galactic Historian. How everyone doing today? Lolf, Gravity Cat, Snow Fox, welcome y'all. Pop out chat. We can have you right now. DFX, thank you so much for that 55 months of subscription. I try hard, yet one screenshot gets me to the front page. That's Reddit for you, man. That's why I don't bother. Heat wave is gone and PTU imminent. I'm great. That's great. One wheel. Good. That's awesome. I've been busy myself. He's not done yet, and I know. I'm gonna get shit for this. I'm starting to do this now, but it's hard to see this because, of course, he's green. Let me turn off the green screen real quickly so you can boop. Wait, can't get it to go. Made myself a weird boy. Hit bashed. So, yeah. Thank you, One Wheel, for that. 27 months. Thanks for adding the podcast to Anchor. No problem, One Wheel. Remember, if you guys want to support us, on Anchor, you can. There is like a monetization option, which I turned on, so. See the new webcam from Elgato looks interesting for $200. Full manual controls. I mean, I'm planning on getting a DXLR. I'm going to have to kind of fundraise for that a little bit here in the next month or so. But I am thinking about getting a new webcam specifically to do FOIP. I also probably need to get some new lighting for that, just to like install some bright lights to just shine on my face. Tim H, how you doing? Silver Joker, Waffle, Red, Mikhail. I'm super keen for Beast Nagus Oryx, waiting to see if what the range looks like. Yeah, I'm gonna pick them up myself. And so this guy is actually not for my regular Oryx, because I don't really like my regular mob that I have right now. The army I have right now is much more speed freaks oriented. It's all based around movement, because I like that kind of thing. So I was thinking about getting a psyker, a weird boy, but I never really bothered. Because it's like, green tide is usually what's best for that guy, kind of thing. But when I was getting Beast Nagus, I'm like, you know what? Everyone uses the Age of Sigmar kind of weird knob for the conversion. So I decided to do a little bit of that to make it a little bit more orky, a little more 40k. Got a little head thing right there. The staff's a little different. And I had some bits and bobbles left over, so I got that and painted this up from yesterday. I really like it. It's actually probably one of my best works. So I got to finish him up here, get the basing all done, that kind of stuff. Zug or something. I don't 40k. WOG. The best way to understand Oryx in 40k is that they are they're soccer hooligans, but unstoppable green killing machines. They're literally based off of soccer hooligans. Are you into Warhammer Total Wars? I'm interested in Total War. I'm not so much into Sigmar, that kind of stuff, so. Oh, English fans, yeah. but like directed with a leader. There's a whole thing on orc lore, but the basic idea is that they're fungus, literally. And the more they fight, the bigger they grow. And their sole driving purpose in existence is to fight. So all they do is fight and beat people and try to do as much as they can. And every time they die, because they're fungus, they actually spread spores everywhere they go. So they actually reproduce asexually. And they're totally dedicated to combat and war. They're addicted to it. But they're also not the brightest species. They're incredibly like cunning and deceitful, but they're also not exactly intelligent. Hey Delta, hey there Astropub, how first time ever viewer from YTube, first time follower here on Twitch. Hey, welcome Delta. How you doing, buddy? I think I've seen your name and stuff. Thank you for that. Hanging out. So a vegan could eat orcs? Yes, they are 100% fungus. Sexually, did I say? I said asexual. They're asexual. They reproduce asexually. See, Darktide delayed until 2022. I anticipated that. Those anybody who thought that Darktide was coming out is this year. Yeah, no. You just look at their hiring. CIG has taught me well. Look at what they're hiring for and who they're hiring. I was like, oh God, they were hiring in February for like major positions for Darktide. I was like, oh yeah, that's not coming out this year. If you are hiring for major designer positions in February, the year you're supposed to something's going to come out, that's not going to happen. Yeah, they were literally doing that. But let's talk a little bit more about Star Citizen. So have you played Vermintide 2? The guys at Fat Shark making yeah, oh yeah, I'm definitely into that one. Kaniac, thanks so much for giving that to Solus Bill and Hikawa. Replicators from SG1, yeah, but funnier and also more terrifying. I don't know, it's gutted they didn't get to experience the mini character bug and PTU. Yeah, it was fun to watch it like through other people. So, if you were watching this, you probably saw the thumbnail and were like, oh, let's hear what Paul has to say. Because I have seen some hype for this, so it's important that we take a look at this and break this down a little bit. And if you have any questions about Star Citizen, just anything, feel free to ask. Let me pull up the latest roadmap roundup. So if Jake's in chat, hi Jake, why are you here? Go unload your shit. Or just put me in the background or something like that, I don't know. So let's pull up the roadmap roundup. Sci-fi, I think you gifted that for Delta Mobius. I prefer Surface 30 King. Did I see the COH3? Oh, the Company of Heroes 3 trailer and gameplay. Not sure if you played those. I haven't played it. It never really interested me, but. Quick off comment. I very much enjoyed your documentary on Jumptown Wars, and I like the style of documentary. Thank you, Delta. I put a lot of work in that. That's about a 3 to 6 month amount of work, and I don't mean like in just time. I mean it took me 9 months in time, but I would say it took me about 6 months of 40-hour or 20-hour work weeks to work on that. It was tough. It was a lot of collating information, sifting through it, building a narrative based off of that and based off of what actually happened, and looking up the lore, writing everything up. The actual full script is about 100 pages, and then a professional voice actor had actually requested that to be part of Galactic Historian stuff. So I told him about this, and he was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." So. Fantastic to work with him. He did all of the narration. So he was the one who did all that and did really well. So ludicrous speed. If there's not a plaid joke somewhere in Star Citizen at some point because of everything else, because of what's going on with Quantum, then CIG, come on. All right, let's take a look at this real quick. All right. So let's actually expand this a little bit so you can see a little bit better. So let's take a look at the progress tracker. So these are all progress trackers. The thing you understand about a progress tracker is just because it's finished doesn't mean that it's going to be added in the next patch. It may require other things to be finished as well before it's fully implemented, or the idea of it is it's building towards something else differently. So keep that in mind. So here we go. Laser trip mines. Implemented laser trip mines into the game, which are explosives that use light beams as triggers. When someone or something steps into contact with the beam, the mine goes boom. Awesome. That's being added. These are being added to the product tracker. Frontier clothing. Generating concept for frontier style clothing for players and NPCs. More clothing is always good. Female player head. Completing and modeling a texture polish for female player's head. After this pass and this assist, this asset will be sent to tech and animation for rigging update. I do wonder if that's not a Squadron 42 thing, though it could also be, they probably share it. It'd be interesting to kind of redo the player's head, the female character head. Because you also see the heads in game right now at Orison. They have the new hair tech. So that may be that they're modeling the head with the hair, but I don't know about that one. COH3 is being made by the same guys who made DOW2. Sega has a Warhammer license, so hopefully we get a relic onto DOW game that's now that COH3 is done. Well, I mean, yeah, we don't talk about Dawn of War 3. I still believe that the best that they could probably almost 1-to-1 the 40K tabletop into a strategy game, to a grand strategy game, something akin to Stellaris. Because like Warhammer Total War is essentially the Warhammer tabletop. I mean, it's a little bit, you don't use the dice rolls and stuff like that, but it's essentially the same kind of feel. So I'm definitely interested in that one. I always like more science fiction stuff. The female player head work might be a step needed for additional hairstyles. Just speculating. I'm thinking there's something along that line, simply because usually you get the NPC stuff because it's easier to model those NPCs. And then but the player stuff needs to be able to be tweakable and stretchable and changeable, that kind of stuff for the appearances. So, all right, here's where we get into weird things. DGS Mesh Mode node implements a multiple dedicated game servers, a client's connected to the same instance of hybrid service, and allows DGS to exchange entities and authority over them. So, this allows for a mesh of dedicated game servers. If that sounds like server meshing, it's because it is. Now, that's not the only thing, but this is part of that. Because I think up here they said something to the effect of, check out the deliverables below, but definitely take a peek at some of the teams' progress tracker and see what's still working. Okay, additionally, some increased visibility on tasks needed for server meshing and persistence have been added to the network and persistent tech teams, which is good. It's good. More stuff so we can understand exactly what's going on behind the scenes. Shard Manager. Add functionality to the hybrid for what will become the Shard Manager component service. The Shard Manager functionally is responsible for creating the shard in the entity graph database, ensuring it is seeded with an initial population of entities, communicating with matchmaking so that players can join the shard, and talking to provision services so that a hybrid and dedicated game servers can be assigned to the shard. So this just allows for them to spin up and spin down or spin up shards. Inventory unstow. Unstow refers to fetching an item from an inventory and placing it into a shard. For example, a ship loaded with cargo being unstowed removes this ship and its associated cargo from the inventory and places them into the game. This work implements moving in items' persistent data from an inventory into a shard managed by an entity graph, and adding them into a replication layer. Basically, it takes stuff from the inventory system, the backend persistence system, and moves it into the game system, but per entity. So, if you are not in this entity and you want to get your stuff, you have to fly to that area where that entity, or if you want to go, you have to go to the shard that's controlling that area. And if you are not in that shard, you can't really call that information up. But yeah. MTNTV, thank you so much for that prime. Shard citizen, yeah. Entity stow and destroy. Stow refers to moving an item into an inventory. For example, a ship located or loaded with cargo being stowed stores the ship and its associated cargo. This work implements removing items from the replication layer, moving it into its persistent data into an inventory management. It's kind of the opposite of inventory unstow. It just allows for you to move stuff into the inventory system so it would disappear from the game system, from the game server, the game segment. Item port mod API. The API allows for tools like the vehicle modification app, VMA, to modify ship loadouts inside inventories. This allows you to change ship loadouts without it being on the server. So you're not actually loading changing the loadout in the game server. You're doing it in the backend's inventory system before you call it, and when you call it, then it comes into the game. Free shard data query API. This API allows for game code to access common queries against the entity data graph. That's cool. Freeform variable API. A Blackboard service to game code systems to write a generic persistence variables. Okay, so this is all stuff to do with server meshing. That's what it is. It's persistence and server meshing. So let's take a look at, let me pull it up here, the actual roadmap. Let's see what this actually means. Because, you know, these things being added to the persistence tracker could mean anything. It could mean that they're done in time infinite. But this is why people were super, super hyped. Probably a little, you know, overly so. Let's go to deliverables. Let's go for Stow. Or let's go with teams. Teams is the persistence tech. Persistence tech team. Here we go. So this is the one that has the server meshing and shard meshing. Okay, so let's go. Let's go current quarter. Okay. So you'll notice that pretty much everything on this graph is done or is being worked on. The only thing that's ending later is the persistent streaming and server meshing. But let's take a look at the actual game. Stop it. There we go. Game. Computer, stop it. Take a look at this actual description here. All right. So proprietary server meshing and persistence technology will allow Star Citizen to scale up its shared universe across game servers. Eventually, this technology will allow for thousands of players to coexist in the universe. Once the first implementation is implemented, the number of servers and players will increase successfully over successive versions. So, it's important to remember that even though that is ending much later, which is, you know, they're still working on Planet Tech stuff. Like, even though the tool is done, the Planet Tech team isn't just sitting around doing nothing. So they're actually working. So this is an important thing for us to take a look at. Now, this means that everything they just put on the roadmap should be done by September. Does that mean that server meshing is coming in at the end of the year? We don't know is the actual answer, but I suspect no. I suspect that it's likely going to be coming out next year, but the tech is going to be ready to show off at CitizenCon. So they'll do something to the effect of mocking it up so it's mostly working for a single server that probably is going to be incredibly reduced in terms of the number of entities. They're going to do what they usually do for like a big, like kind of showy-offy thing. So yeah, it's definitely going to be stuff that they're showing off at CitizenCon. I'm almost sure about that. However, I feel like it does mean that we could see server meshing, at least in some way, shape, or form, by the end of next year or early next year. I'm still pessimistic about it because it's the CIG we're talking about, and it's not necessarily that they're bad at this. It's just they're almost always over. There's something that always pops up that they have to go back and do and they didn't think about. And because it's a complicated, big fucking game with 700 people working on it, so you're going to have some mistakes. Just reality. So, but this is good news because this sounds like the basics that they're working on, this is all stuff that's kind of very on the basic back end, that's getting done. So they're getting that version -1 done on their end and seeing if it works. And from what I know about CIG, their big thing is if it can work, if they can get it to work, they will push it out to backers just because. Why? Because it's available now and they want to show it off. So, and sometimes it means it's really janky and broken, but they like to do it. So, but this is a good sign. So no, it's not time to hype that server meshing is coming at the end of the year, which means Pyro is probably not coming at the end of the year. But it does mean that we are almost assuredly going to see Pyro at CitizenCon. And this is a good sign for progress, because it's not like they're sitting there going, yeah, well, when we get to server meshing, it's like they're working on it. They're actively developing for it. They're working through the problems right now, which means that generally CIG does, when they start working on this, it's 1 to 2 years from when they start working on something like this to get it done. Of course, there are some other drawbacks, but this isn't like they're planning for this in the future. They need to build this. This is it. This is the last tech hurdle that CIG needs to cross in order to develop the game proper. Now, again, expectations. It's important to remember. Let me go back. Hey, Moise, how you doing, buddy? It's important to remember that it's important to remember. I lost my train of thought because I just saw that. Yeah. It's important to remember that just because CIG is working on this last tech hurdle and that they're probably close to getting it done, meaning in the next year or two, doesn't mean that they're going to suddenly just release a bunch of stuff. We're not going to see a situation where you go from 0 to 100. Hey, Juan, how you doing, buddy? Around 24, they start selling QT themes. I wouldn't be surprised at that. He forgot what's important to remember. Yeah, that's the important part. It like a lot of people are like, oh, the floodgates will open. It's like, that doesn't work like that. Nothing in technology works like that. Technology works like building a house out of sticks and like sticks of balsa wood and duct tape, and or literally building a house a brick at a time. And sometimes those bricks can take a year to produce. Sometimes it takes less, but each brick isn't equal. And eventually you just kind of turn around and you put the last brick in and the house isn't done yet. You just laid the fucking bricks. Now you got to wire the damn house. You got to insulate the house. You got to put up the drywall. You got to put in the like furniture, and like, maybe like in this analogy, maybe a year after all of that's done, you finally unpack all the boxes. But there's a certain point where you just sit there and go, oh wait, we're fucking done. We just got to unpack all of our shit. And it can take years for you to do that. It's kind of like that, in the sense that you're never going to have just we're done. You'll have a big moment of we're finished with the basics, but it doesn't mean that all of the furniture is suddenly going to be moved in and all the drywall is going to be done. None of that pretty shit's going to be in yet. The shit that actually makes a house a home won't be in. So, question: Are you? I know you were Cutlass Dan. How do you feel about the last size 2 shield balance pass? I'm not much of a Space Code. I'm not much of a. I will wait until it's in the verse to really give my opinion on it, because I always say the Cutlass is a fantastic ship, but not necessarily because it's a good combat ship. The Cutlass is a fantastic ship for the purposes of its versatility. It can do okay in combat, but it's really better for the fact that it can do okay in combat, and it has a bunch of other stuff to it. By the way, can we get a follow command for Moist? I mean, in the meantime, to make what we have the gameplay smooth, they should take out Hearst and Architect and let's play a smooth game. Nah, Tim, that wouldn't help. Taking out Microtech and Hearst and that kind of stuff doesn't work like that. And I've argued with this with people for so many times. That's not how you make a game like Star Citizen, because without that data coming in, then it doesn't give us any information about how the game functions. Because it could be a bug, one of the issues for this whole thing could be a bug from some place in Loreville that's causing some massive problems. And if you make everything run smooth and then you go, okay, I got this all handled, and you put in Loreville and you have the game not running smooth again, you know that there's a problem in Loreville, and it's still going to make the game not run smooth because you're going to have to test it. It's just not how Star Citizen can develop. The game runs fine right now, but you definitely need decent, you need above average gear to run Star Citizen. We've reached another generation after 3.13, 3.12, 3.13, and now 3.14. You really need to have a better, like a 220 or a 30 card for NVIDIA, a much better, 8-core CPU or whatever. Like you need something better than just what could get you by 2 years ago. Well, I mean, it's not meant to melt hardware because it's unoptimized, though. It's supposed to melt hardware because it's peak running. But yeah, they're not going to get Squadron 42 done. We'll start. They're not going to be done. So here's the thing that's important to understand about Squadron 42. Squadron 42 is being built alongside Star Citizen. When Squadron 42 is done, the people who are building the backend tech for Squadron don't need to be there anymore. Because they're done with the backend tech. All you need is mission designers and narrative folks. Those people, and maybe a little bit of gameplay folks, those people need to be there for the second part. But that's a lot easier than building a brand new game from scratch. Essentially, it's the Mass Effect 2 to Mass Effect 3. It took a long time for them to go from Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 2 because they completely built a new engine, or they used Unreal Engine for Mass Effect 2 compared to what they used with Mass Effect 1, which was their own custom-built engine. And so Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 1 look very different, which is why they went back and revamped Mass Effect 1 to look more like, I think it's on the Mass Effect 2 engine anyways, but or on Unreal. But then when they went from Mass Effect 2 to Mass Effect 3 in like 2 years. Because they spent a lot of time building the game out and putting the assets in for Mass Effect 2, so it wasn't as much of a stretch to put into Mass Effect 3. Like, it was a much faster turnaround. Same kind of idea, where you're going to have Squadron 42 Part 1, and then you're going to have Part 2, which will be 2 to 3 years down the road. But it'll be a much faster turnaround, just because the nature of the beast. Question, when will Star Citizen be able to run on a laptop? Probably not until they get all of the Gen 12 renderer, Vulkan, in. And even then, you're going to have a gaming laptop. And maybe not even till beta. We'll see. Hope you guys are doing well. I use a 1080, 32 gigabytes of RAM and i7-6700K. I'm just squeaking by. Yeah, Nix, that's exactly what I had before. And it was bad. I upgraded my GPU, my CPU, and like a faster, better RAM, and a new SSD, and it's completely different. It's night and day. I saw a question up here at some point. One reason I have faith in them getting it done is Christopher Bolt is the lead dev on server meshing. That man is a coding god. Anyone who deals with network technology and video games is a voodoo master. They do some crazy shit that should not happen. They're working on the furniture at the same time too. I really like that they're developing proper gameplay at the end of the year, like salvage repair, medical cargo, and overall. Yeah, exactly. It won't, but like that stuff isn't going to be finished furniture. It's going to be like flat pack furniture. It's the starter furniture for your home. It's not the final furniture. So it'll still be a little weird. Question, do you think large groups of players, like organizations, will be able to have impacts on the game? Or is the gameplay going to be more focused on players' individual stories rather than just player-driven events? Both. Yes, players in large groups will definitely have an impact on the game. See Jumptown Wars. for those of you who don't know, I did an entire documentary on this, but Jumptown Wars was an event that happened between November, October of 2018 and into the February of 2019. And it was one of the best moments in Star Citizen. Probably still the best moments in Star Citizen next to Xenothreat. I hope they got a lot of data to use for other things, but it was an accident by CIG. It wasn't an intended thing. It just happened. But so many people got so invested in it that the lore team actually put it into canon. The events at Jumptown are now canon. However, they did it in a very sneaky way. They did it through a hearing on crime in Crusader. The CEO of Crusader Industries was there talking to the Senate, a Senate subcommittee on crime, specifically because crime has been going crazy in the Stanton system as of late, which is their explanation to why players are causing so much problems. And so the Senate is trying to figure out, like, y'all are fucking up because you're supposed to be protecting this this system on your own without UEE protection. You need to be doing this on your own. You're not following our agreement. So they're pissed. And in that subcommittee, one of the senators just takes a look at the CEO and goes, CEO of Crusader, Ms. Kaplan, what's Jumptown? And she goes, can we get a break? I'm out of water. Let's, and the senator is like, I was able to find out about Jumptown, the violence that's going on at Jumptown, and I'm living on Earth. You live right next door and you don't know about Jumptown? And she's like, I don't know. So as a result, all of the violence that went on at Jumptown, all of the activities at Jumptown are now canon. That's the way they're going to do this. They're going to kind of make those events roundabout canon, where they don't have to take specific citizens if they don't want to, especially for these big events, and make them canon. So, like, a war between two organizations that causes a lot of destruction may not get those two organizations' name in the history books, but it definitely they'll be referenced as, like, a violent outburst in this system that caused this problem, I'm playing Star Citizen Arena Commander, best place for frames, and mid-tier gaming laptop, a 2016 mobile card, 32 gigabytes of RAM, some 10th gen ICU. That shouldn't be too bad. I recently listened to that series, was disappointed how little 3 was of the players' stories that were compared to how much Stanton history there was. I think it was about half and half. About 20 minutes of it is Stanton's history because I wanted to set it up, but the other half is players' stories. The problem was that we just we didn't get a ton of stories. That's pretty much all the stories we got. I didn't reject anybody's. I'd like to go back and do more of that, but the problem was it was not a lot of people were interested in it, and I felt it was important to give the Stanton lore there as well as the stories of the people. Thank you, Mikhail, for giving that to Moist. Questions. Your thought on the possibility of Nyx coming either alongside or near Pyro? Jumping back to the roadmap tasks. Yes, let's go back to the roadmap here in a bit. But I wanted to hit that out because that's on the freaking cover of this video. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, I wanted to talk about that. But yeah, I theorize that CIG is not going to be able to get server meshing in until the end of next year, and by that time Nyx will be done. Nyx and Pyro will both be done. And because they seem to be producing these systems a lot faster than, they made most of Pyro in like a month. The thing that was slowing them down is Ruin Station. So, quite a difference from like 5 years for Stanton and a year for Pyro. Yeah. Max asks, hello, Astropub, good evening. Do you have any news about Jumptown in the next events that could become a new major landing zone? Also city. Yes, the UES Flysa. So the wreck of the UES Flysa was something that they retconned into lore. but the downed Javelin has been there since 3.0. But it's actually got a name and a reason. And at the end of the lore bit, which is the reason why it's important to pay attention to the lore, they mentioned that the Fleisa's wreck is often used for outlaws. And then after that release, a couple of weeks after that released, that lore story released, CIG showed off the new wreck of the Daymar Javelin, which the team at Montreal had been building as kind of a test. Like they built that out as a test level for them using the tools. So it was, and they wanted to put it into the game. So here is my theory on how Jumptown will work. You will have Jumptown proper. Jumptown will exist. However, one of the major locations for the Jumptown conflict will be Daymar, will be the wreck of the Fleisa. It will involve some level of PvP. It'll probably be the end point where the wreck of the Fleisa is either sending you off, like the group who runs it, Fleisa, maybe Ninetales, I don't know. Probably the Dusters. The Dusters are another gang, which we haven't heard a lot about, so that would make sense. Because from the name, it sounds like they're probably from Daymar. The Dusters probably are there. And if Jumptown is the headquarters of, and Nyx, and Grimhex are the headquarters of the Ninetales, that wreck would be the perfect wreck for the Dusters. So possibly some sort of conflict there. But we'll see. Not enough people came forward with stories of their own. That's a shame. So many good tales. Well, the problem was that like I got a good solid number. Like 20 minutes of content is not bad for the amount of stories we got. But I didn't get a lot of pictures. I only got a couple of pictures. I only got a couple of videos that I was able to find. So a lot of it was stock stuff that I'd seen other people kind of take, like the various. Let me put out all the names. People like Haskaha, Captain Raul, Alexander Belov, and Glenn Batuyong, who are all kind of in-game photographers for Star Citizen. They all had some stuff from Jumptown, so I asked them and used some of their stuff. So. I think they'll drop Pyro in regardless, but I think that there'll have to be a hard server switch between them. I spun up Pyro, switch servers. No, I don't think it's going to happen, Don Sealer. If they were going to do that, they'd have done that already. They're not going to add in Pyro unless they have server meshing. Just no ifs, ands, or buts. Yeah, buts. They're going to have, they might have static server meshing, but you'll basically just be going from between the areas will be fixed, so you can go through those areas. But bots, lol. But if CIG can turn Jumptown like an underground bunker for trade drugs and fight, would be cool. There's some aspects. NDA. I can't talk about that. All I can say is CIG 100% can do Jumptown again, and they can do it just the way that Jumptown existed before, but even better, based off of what I know about what's happening. What's static server meshing? So there are two types of server meshing. One is if you've played Atlas, that's static server meshing, where you have each section of the map as its own server. And with Atlas, you kind of go to like a glistening border, and then you sail through that border, and then you hit a loading screen, then you end up on the other side. With Star Citizen, you wouldn't have that because it's a seamless transition because of the streaming stuff that they've been doing, OCS and COCS and SOCS. Plus, you have things like QT travel, which can mask a little bit of that. But you would have essentially like areas of space that would be their own servers. So you would have, maybe Lorville be its own server. And then outside of Lorville, there'd be a transition to the entirety of Hurston outside of Lorville, which would be its own server. And by limiting those regions, they're limiting the number of entities. So you could probably increase the player cap from 50 to like 100 or 150. The problem about static server meshing is, what if there are 1,000 people on the meshed servers and they all want to go to one spot in space? Well, if 1,000 people can't be in that one area, if that's the server limit is lower than 1,000 per area, then you would have to have nested instances. So like once you had 100, say it was the server cap was 100, and you had 100 people in this one station that everyone's fighting over. The 101st person comes in, everything disappears, and they're just in another server on the same kind of mesh web, but it's like below it or above it. They wouldn't see the fighting going on with 100 people. And so you'd have to have that person up there. It's not a good idea. It was one of the main ways that Star Citizen was originally going to be built, but then they decided to do dynamic server meshing, which is a little different, which is the same concept. However, they can kind of spin up and spin down servers on the fly, so that when that 101st person comes in, instead of it just going into its own shard, into its own server, the server area actually splits into two servers. So now it's one side is 100, one side's the other, another 100, and you could still fire between servers, but everything is kind of instanced in there. Static server meshing is common. It happens in every single game that exists. Almost every MMO that exists has some form of static server meshing, whether you have entities inside of those kind of things. So yeah, so static server meshing is something they could do. And I would probably think what they would do is they would up the player cap limit to the maximum amount per shard. So, if you could get 1,000 people in Lorville at once, and then they would have 1,000 people. So that means the entire, mesh web of servers would be one mesh web, kind of like how we have one server now, but it would just be one mesh web of 1,000 people. And then once it reaches, you couldn't get into that area unless you was over that 1,000, and then you'd have another one. I think that would probably be more likely what they'll do, where they'll still have this, it'll still look like you're going into a server like you are now, but instead of actually going into a server, you're just going into a web that's kind of like its own gardened off connection of servers that have a max cap limit. So let's get back to the presentation, shall we? All right, so that was all the server meshing stuff. What about the Constellation Taurus? Origin 609 gold standards on the progress tracker for October, December. Is that sort of the item that gets done early or on time, or gets pushed? Gold standard, they tend to get that done. Anything dealing with ships and dealing with planet tech. If CIG says anything about ships or planet tech, almost 100% I bet my life on that they'd be getting that done. Every so often they get overloaded with ships, but almost never do they push a ship now. If they're missing a ship, it'll be pushed to a 0.1 patch. But very rarely do they do that. Do they straight up have to move a ship entirely? And they haven't done that for 2 years, I don't think. And planet tech stuff tends to come in pretty quickly. The things that get moved are gameplay and technology, the backend tech. Those are the two things that get moved all the time. But if it has to do with ships, I can almost guarantee you it's coming in. Question: Do you know if you could have a incoming feature for this year's on quanta system? I mean, the quanta and quanta system is already in game. That's what the event system is part of. And like the tracking of the commodities, that's all in game. So quanta is already partially in game. It's just not fully implemented yet. Does that help you, Apropiquat, to understand what static server meshing is? Hey, Jet, how's it going? I think it was Pappy that suggested that, but a few months back, I'd hope they are just all or nothing. They've toyed with the idea of doing that switch, and I've heard multiple CIG devs who comment on it and basically said, we've talked about it, we don't like it. And the reason why they don't like it is it just doesn't help anything. Having another system doesn't really, all it does is split the player base further. It doesn't really help test features, and all it does is like, hey, we got Pyro, but you still don't have the underlying tech, which is why they said they're going to wait for that. Question, did CIG stop selling the Idris M, or is it Idris P only one way to get an Idris? They usually sell the Idris M's during IAE and Invictus, but they sell a very small amount. Oh, Planetary Tech Team. Okay. I thought that was Persistent Tech Team. When you said PTT, I was like, Yeah, you can also get it if you have like the Invictus package or whatever, the massive package. All right, let's keep going through this. So this is where we get to the AI stuff. And if you've been following the monthly reports, this also kind of backs it up. There's a lot of AI that's going in Star Citizen. I know people kind of like go har, but I was watching earlier Moist Noodle, if Moist Noodle's still here, I watched an earlier Moist Noodle stream, and Moist Noodle commented on how there were wild lines he had never heard before that were being spoken by the NPCs. Some of them I would almost gather were in before, but because the tech was so fucked, you just didn't hear it. Hey, Commissary, how's it going? Hello, there we go. Yeah. So you were commenting on wild lines. It's like you never heard those wild lines before. That's an example of, I think, and like anyone who's played the PTU and fought against AI, they will fucking nuke you with missiles. Like they will all 100% shoot you with missiles if they got them. And they don't like it. And you can't dodge them. So there are the AI is getting better. It's getting significantly better. Plus the behavior from AI in and around stations. My only hope is that we get wild lines between NPCs on stations and in landing zones to kind of fluff up a little bit more. But so that's an example of the AI system starting to function a little bit better. So we've got a couple things here: navigation, ledges, ladders / ledge grab, implementation of special adapters to allow the navigation system to be informed of potential nav mesh connections offered by ladders or ledge grab markup. The navigation links already allow the creation of adapters that contain game-specific functionality to function as sort of translators between system-specific domain and navigation system. So now they can start climbing after you and such. Scary. Trolley push pull. This will be the first pass implementing the abilities for NPCs to use trolleys and trolley-like entities. They will be able to move in the environment, pushing and pulling these entities to place them from to specific locations. This requires the creation of special path follower that can take into consideration the external forces that need to be balanced to achieve the desired speed. Hospitals, I think, is a good example of that. AI ground vehicles. This is the first pass in supporting NPCs controlling and driving ground vehicles. This requires the implementation of a new path follower that allows them to take care of the vehicle's physical abilities to transform the NPC's movement request into actual movement. I love it. Unmanned missile turrets. Adding AI-controlled missile turrets to improve the defensive green zone. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while. AI medical. Implementing a variety of medical AI behaviors. A patient will arrive at the hospital and check themselves into a terminal and then wait to be called into a room for diagnosis. The patient can then see the doctors and nurses tending to sick and injured people. The other patients will be called. Doctors and nurses can be seen washing their hands, checking medical stock, and dispensing medicine. Some patients will be asleep in medical beds. All right, let's put on some expectation caps on here. I don't think we're going to get anything crazy, but I do know what this is designed for. It's designed for, 1, immersion. Number 2, time waster. You got a critical injury, or you've got like a tier 3 injury, and you don't have a Cutlass Red, and you got to go to a hospital. That ain't a short trip, buddy. You're going to be sitting there. You're going to be hearing let me pull up some good. Something crashed. There we go. I'm back. Something crashed. It was weird. Anyways. Basically, you're going to be waiting for a while. And in some cases, it'll be worse than others. So. You should be able to hear me, right? You mean like waiting for other players during meetup? Yeah, you'll definitely have like a wait time, and that's going to add some wait time for you to have to wait for. So like having your own medical facilities is going to be very valuable, or knowing players who do, because they'll probably be able to serve you faster than NPCs will. So, all right, AI leisure. AI leisure behavior is a segment of our new civilian behavior system, controlling how AI behaves when they have free time during their schedule. AI will create a lifelike environment by relaxing and having fun, using things that are available to them, such as exercise equipment, jogging routes, TV monitors, seats, benches, and their mobiGlass. AI dancing. More dancing emotes, please, CIG. Dancing is a segment of our new civilian leisure behavior. After work, some civilians will have the urge to spend time at a nightclub and dance the night away. This will bring new life to movements to our bars. Thank God. Fire hazard. Fire hazard system will track fire and temperature on static and dynamic objects. For the initial release of fire, the feature will be set up for select few vehicles. Nice. Destructible workflow. Building out a workflow to allow artists and designers to work with destructible objects. So these are all important things. So first off, we've got a bunch of AI behavior, which are all combat related or other things. Like for instance, ground vehicles. Thank God for ground vehicles. My dream of participating in the gun run, a thunder run from Battlefield 3, or is it Battlefield 4? I think it's Battlefield 3. Yes, please. And then you also have like medical, leisure, dancing, so on and so forth. And now we've got fire, destructible workflow. So we're actually going to have destructible objects. That means likely destructible props, but also destructible, possibly habs. I don't think we'll have like a fully destructible environment a la like Battlefield, but you'll have something close to it. Rolling Thunder, thank you. Pure entertainment. Yeah. Any idea what ship the new Size 7 bearings are being designed for? The Ares? That's what they're designed for, because that's like the Ares is built around the. It's a gun that has a ship built into it. When do they make the gambling games and bars work? Probably around the same time as they're doing these leisure activities. It's a bearing size 7 weapon, so. I don't know if this is just luck, but playing yesterday, I had about 5 hours of play on 314i. There was no AI, or none of the AI was standing on chairs. They're moseying about. Normally, it was wild. Very rarely do you see AI standing on chairs now. Like, the joke of it, seeing it all the time is a little different. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that they've introduced spawn closets, or aka monster closets, as some designers will like to say. This will allow for AI to leave and then come back. Like they spawn outside of the map and then walk into the map. Now, I don't think they're fully implemented, but like they're definitely in there, as we'll see here, because there's some more stuff that's going on. Ranger motorcycles and ground racing in Hurston, when I know they're going to be racing somewhere. I want them to make a racing track in Hurston. Like Lorville needs to have a racing track, like a hippodrome. Breads and circuses, baby. That's Lorville. Come on, give me a hippodrome with Colonel Gavin E. Hurston sitting up there with laurel wreaths and giving thumbs up, thumbs down. For those who don't know what a hippodrome is, watch Ben-Hur. It's a space A-10. Yeah, that's what the Ares is. It's a space A-10. Any commonality between the Inferno gun and the Perseus? No, the Inferno gun is built specifically for the Ares. I don't think you'll be able to use the Inferno guns on anything but the Ares. But I could be wrong. Morning, ZK. Z4. Zerk 1. Trying to convince my friends to do a Daymar race with the Tonk. Racetrack on Hurston is me racing Tonks. AI plus leisure plus dancing plus transport missions equals VIP missions. They're at 605 full of dancing socialites. Why do you think they're redoing the 600i? Why is the 600i on gold standard if they weren't going to be using it as the test bed for luxury vehicles? We'll talk about here and hit this in a moment, right here. Maya Live Link. Maya Live Link establishes a link between Maya and the engine's sandbox editor. It's primarily meant to give animators the best possible what you see is what you get style of preview quality by seamlessly integrating the editor, rendering images in the Maya viewport. So this allows for them to make it basically allow them to design animations, put it in the game and see it right away, and then be like, okay, that doesn't work very well. I can see with the clips and those kinds of issues. So that'll make animations faster and easier to do for the animators. So good on that. Background tool. Rescue transport mission. This is what Lady Space Patrol was talking about. Taking advantage of AI follow behaviors to create missions where players transport customers from one location to another, along with prototype missions where player must retrieve impaired clients from dangerous situations and escort them to safety. Yes, please. Do I think the 600i will go up in price? Everything will go up in price. Nothing's going to stay the same. There'll come a point probably closer to beta when CIG is just going to like, hey, all those ships, $5 more now. They're just going to do that because they can. Like once CIG gets to beta, that starter package is going to be $65, $60 to $65, depending on where you live. I mean, 60 US, but I think depending where you live in the world. And all of those other ships will go up in price as well. Just nature of the beast. When CIG starts getting finished, they're going to try to disincentivize people from buying ships, which sounds weird and against the idea of ships, but it works because it's kind of the point. Thank you, Ghost Waifu. Did a million note Tovacheks get melted once people realize you can buy them in game the next patch for 500k instead of 100 USD? I mean, it depends. Like, I still have my Nova tank, which has LTI on it, which wasn't too bad. And I have a bunch of like skins and stuff like that. I would rather have the tank now than having to earn it in game. Even though it's sort of cheap, it's also one of those things where when the final game comes out, we don't know what the actual price is going to be, and still requires a lot of other things. Like you need to have a star lifter in order to transport them. So any word on ground-based salvage vehicles? Nothing yet. No word on ground-based salvage vehicles yet. But if there's one thing that I would bet is that CIG is definitely taking the Rock and turning it into a salvage vehicle. Instead of the Rock and the Rock DS, you have the Rock S or the Rock RS, recycling salvage. The Taurus looks like it could fit a ballista or a Tonk potentially. Probably not a Tonk, but maybe a ballista. The Tonk may be too wide. You definitely, the height it could fit, but. Partly fills cargo with Widow caviar and champagne, tracks casino machines into the rec room. All right. Infiltrate/defend mission. Underground facilities are the first place to benefit from the addition of spawn closets, which allow us the expansion of the suite of missions that take place there. Missions range from all-out assaults to situations where you may be able to complete objectives without the need to engage in combat at all, and include lawful and unlawful versions. Like it. I love it. I want some more of it. Comm array mission improvements. Several mission improvements and totally new missions set across and around comm arrays with a specific focus on PvP content. Now, I'm gonna put on my my conspiracy cap here. In my critique of Xenothreat, I said CIG could have set up a comm array mission that would allow for PvP players to go compete in that combat mission, which would have been a sideshow to the actual event. Xenothreat's attacking, everyone's paying attention to Xenothreat, so a group of criminals say, hey, there's a chaos, let's go hack into a comm array, and steal some data. So which spawns a mission, which players then you have to go do, and then other players get the counter mission to go deal with that problem while Xenothreat was going on. That gave the PvP players a little something to go play in the little kiddie pool and their own pool, not kiddie pool, but their own table to go fight each other, while other people working on the PvE aspects. So you'd have PvP players more interested in doing that. They would make more money, that sort of thing. That seems like what they're doing now is taking the common array missions and doing like opposed account and common missions and then doing opposed versions of that, which would be kind of cool. All right, physical QT movement. This deliverable has been previously removed from the roadmap. This is returned to the progress tracker and has been scheduled to be worked on in Q3 by the physics team. Yes. That just means physical QT movement. They're just changing how QT works. The whole B was originally scheduled to be worked on simultaneously with the whole A. However, additional resources needed to be allocated for the whole A. Therefore, we're temporarily moving the whole B from the progress tracker until it's been rescheduled. That's awesome. Then the last thing, the release view. Persistent hangars. Players will have the ability to have their own persistent hangars. This will bring changes to the cargo gameplay loop by allowing players to buy cargo and send it to their hangars, then maximize their cargo storage space by allowing them to pack the goods themselves. Gone will be the days of getting booted from your hangars because you were waiting there for too long. I have a feeling that we'll get persistent cargo when we get persistent hangars. So these are two probably linked together. Though it's probably there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to have persistent cargo without persistent hangars, but cargo decks, for instance, is a good example of that. But Outpost Homestead, Independent and Outlaw. A small home for AI to live and shelter. AI. So this Outposts Homestead stuff is not for players. Everyone kept saying, oh, we get to build outposts? And I kept saying, this is for AI. And no one fucking listened. It says it right there. You're not building shelters. It's just essentially the current outpost, but slightly different. They consist of a central hub and a few optional internal and external modules. They provide the basic necessities to support a small group of people for an indefinite amount of time. So I'm assuming that these outpost homesteads will be clustered together to form towns and independent and remote. So thank you, Commissar. They have been, but a lot of people like to look at things and don't necessarily ingest them. They don't really like critically look at something. They just kind of go, oh, outposts. That means we can build homesteads. It means we can build them, right? Because they just kind of go to that moment. So my dreams attached. All right, so let me go back through some of these specifically. Let's look at some of these other things and look at the AI team. All right, so current quarter. So Outpost Homestead and Independent Outlaws, that's done in September. Security Behavior, which is Space Whale V1, should be done in September as well. AI Medical should be done in September. Off-Duty Hygiene and Sleeping, both done in August, September. Leisure done this in August. Legal Goods Dealer in September. Hawker is done. AI Dancing should be done in July. So yeah, basically everything under the AI behavior, other than shops and patrons and miscellaneous support and character work for Squadron 42, are all done in September. And even those ones are done in September. Either they haven't been updated or whatever. And same with the feature team. Let's go security behavior, miscellaneous support, FPS ballistic, character work, bug fixing and tech debt, untrained combat, unmanned missile turrets, trolley push and pull, planetary navigation links, ladders, grab. The only one that's not there is ground vehicles, which should be done sometime in October. Now, again, these progress trackers do not mean that that's done and is in the next patch. It just means that it's done. So it could make it into a 3.16 patch or 3.17 patch, or they could find some other issues and push it along. But they're going to be done in the next 2 months. The content they added here are going to be done in the next 2 months. So the things they're adding to the roadmap now are getting done very quickly. Let me double check to see if these were upstream or downstream. Jake's on here, so he couldn't tell us. Downstream. So yeah, downstream generally means, yeah, it's generally faster than upstream. Because they just do the upstream tech. So yeah, it's exciting. It's setting up for 2021 being a very interesting year, or the end of this year being very interesting. So again, what did we learn today, ladies and gentlemen? We ain't learned shit. That's the basics. But what we can influence or infer from some of the updates and like monthly updates and these progress trackers is that shit's getting done. They're as anyone can tell you, CIG marches forward. They're working on stuff, but the fall is some of the busiest times of the year for them because they can work on so many things to get ready for the fall. So I have a good feeling that the fall, while not everything's going to get done, especially 3.16, you just expect everything in 3.16 to get cut. Everything will be that's supposed to be done by August, September will probably be done by the end of the year right now. So early next year / this time next year, I would expect to see significant increase in content, just in general. The fall of CIG. That doesn't sound good. Like intercity car delivery around A13. Do you think they'll implement ground vehicles between NPC outposts when they're in? For sure, but I don't think you'll necessarily see ground vehicles in Area 18. But you'll definitely see them in Hurston. You won't have to use ground vehicles. You can use other things. But I feel like ground vehicles will be more efficient for fuel-wise. They'll be cheaper. And the distances, as long as you can drive decent distances, will be shorter than you think, especially when you have roads. Do you think the transport missions will include drop ships to bring AI to hotspots eventually? Probably. I mean, that's definitely mercenary work, but I'd almost be assured of that. Wiley bought any ideas on when bigger ships like the Perseus, Kraken, and the Idris might actually release? Until server meshing, until they can actually crew multiples of those in the game. Who needs RTX when you have CIG? To explain on Laura's statement, since players spend most of their time in prison, I need more conflict flair. Yes. It seems they finished all the concept art for Corsair. Question: do you think the Corsair is an appropriate size to compete with similar ships like the Kami? Yeah, it's fine. The Corsair is fine. It won't have a lot of pomp and circumstance when it releases. I think its big draw will be when Pyro comes in, because I feel like the Corsair is going to be the ship, other than the Kami, that's like the affordable ship to traverse Pyro without gulping all your fuel down. Find anything? No, sir. How about you? Nothing. And you? We ain't found shit. That's Tuvok, by the way. For those of you who don't know, that's the actor who from that scene in Spaceballs. That's the actor who would play Tuvok in Star Trek Voyager. He also plays a bunch of other roles in Star Trek, but that's his most famous role. So when do we learn? Actually learn this is all a scam? If you've been paying attention, it's always been a scam. Cannibal, thank you so much for those 420 biddies. Keep up the wicked content, brother. I love these office hours. Thank you, my man. With the weapon charges, do you think the Redeemer, which is meant to be anti-fighter, got given size 5 guns? Do you think this is even more poo-poo than before? The Redeemer is not really supposed to be anti-fighter. The Redeemer is supposed to be ground support. It's important to remember that, is that the Redeemer was never designed as a escort ship. It was supposed to be a gun ship. So it's designed to fly in with, and they even talked about how the Redeemers, their new Redeemer designs were based around the idea of working with alongside a dropship, like a Valkyrie, and coming in and strafing targets or keeping on target to keep Valkyries safe when they land. So it's important to remember that that's the point. The Valkyrie drops the troops off and can stick around, but it's really the Redeemer that's designed to protect them. If you think about it in modern military terms, the Valkyrie is a Blackhawk. Blackhawks can carry some weapons and they can be mean sons of bitches, but they're cargo, they're troop transport helicopters. They're multifunction, but they're not really designed for combat. But an Apache is armored to shit and can just destroy anything around it. So you have Apaches escorting Blackhawks, and the Apaches will then support the ground targets, targeting grounds, hardened areas for the infantry, and protect the Blackhawks a little bit more. That's kind of more the feel of what they're trying to go for. I live in my MSR. The MSR is a great example of a ship that is a live-in ship. The MSR, the Connie, and the Corsair are all very similar in terms of that size and role. Star Citizen's starting to stand on its own feet with this year and next year. Oh, yeah. But just like this year is just a lot of back-end stuff that needs to get added in, and a lot of that it's taken some time. I honestly think that with Pyro, CIG needs to fix the fuel economy of ships, introduce more engines that can upgrade and mod for flights that take 2 hours, exaggeration, from one point to another next in Pyro. I mean, yeah, that's the plan. CIG actually was going to work on the M50, which was itself supposed to have swappable engines, but they were using the M50 as the base for that because the M50 has you can actually see the engines. So being able to swap those engines out so they look okay in the M50 is important. But yeah, they always were going to have different engines themselves rather than just quantum drives, which should improve efficiency or whatever. Oh man, yeah, let's talk about how big systems are. I mean, all right. For those of you who just discovered how big systems are, you're welcome. Between me, Algrid, and Execute on the Info Runners, we're the ones who started that whole damn thing. When it started popping up all over the Star Citizen community was because somebody told Execute this idea. And so Execute came to us, and because Al and I both know the lore enough and have studied the systems, we know the size of these systems. So we were the ones who first started spreading that out. And from that video, a lot of other people came through. So I'm going to take partial credit for it. I'm going to let my ego fly a little bit. My head's going to grow a little bit for that one. But yeah, so systems are huge. It's important to remember, though, that systems being 50 AU, because current Stanton is like 4 AU, 5 AU, doesn't mean that it's going to take you 50 times or 25 times the time to go across these systems. Because in reality, you'll never go across these systems. Very rarely will you ever need to go across the system. The reason why we're going across the system now is because it's the only thing we have. But when you have Pyro and Nyx and Castra and Magnus and Terra and all these other systems coming into the game, what will matter is less going from planet to planet and more system to system. So what will matter is the distance between one jump point and another jump point, which isn't across the system, usually. They're also going to increase the speed. There's no way you're going to end up with, or they'll fudge it a little bit here and there. They'll change some things, but they'll increase speed or increase fuel efficiency when that comes around there. But it's always important to remember single seat ships, especially fighters, are not designed to go across systems. So they're supposed to be really fucking good at combat, but their limitation is they can't go very far. So something like a Vanguard or even a 300 series might be a better option for long-range exploration or combat missions because they have better efficiency, even though they don't pack as much of a punch or aren't as meta as other ships are, because they can actually go to where they need to. Without a carrier, you ain't using any fucking carrier ships. You're not going to use the Hornet or the Saber or the Arrow or the Gladius or the Buccaneer. All of those things require carriers to function. Question: when do you think Star Citizen will go into beta? I don't know. If I was going to guess, I would say 3 to 4 years from now. When CIG has all of the basic systems in, and I don't mean like systems, like planetary systems. I mean, like when they have version 1 of medical, exploration, mining, salvage, repair, refuel, bounty hunting, cargo, trader, like a barter and selling stuff. When they have all of those systems in place, then they'll go there. Enterprise! Welcome everyone from Enterprise's stream. Let's get some beers up in here. How y'all doing? Beta in 2 hours. Yeah, that's the correct answer. Beta in 2 hours. Welcome, all you tired, you poor, ye huddled commanders, yearning to breathe free. I lift my lamp up besides the golden Chris. I've actually been talking about Enterprise, and I might draft you in on this. I'm thinking about doing a special episode during the week of Captain's Table, where I bring in elite commanders who are moving over to Star Citizen, specifically to talk about why they moved over, what their experiences in the verse, things that like feedback they'd like to give, just to get a perspective. Because I'm a beta backer from Elite. I played hundreds of hours of Elite before engineers came in, and then I just stopped playing. So when players who've only played Elite for maybe a year or two are starting to move over to Star Citizen, I'd like to hear their perspective. And I think a lot of Star Citizens would like to hear their perspective as to why people are moving over. Because, like, I've heard this question more than once. Is Elite dead now? And my response is, nah, they'll fix it. It's Frontier. They'll eventually fix it. But there's so many people who said, yeah, Elite's dead. And I'm like, is that a Star Citizen backer opinion? Star Citizen backers being a bunch of assholes? Or is that Elite commanders who are coming over from Elite going, yeah, it's dead, buddy. So if you know anybody who is coming to Star Citizen, like a creator who is coming from Elite to Star Citizen, let me know. If you yourself are watching this and you want that as well, talk to me. My DMs are open on Twitter, available on Discord. I'd like to kind of talk about that. So. Mechanic Man, if you want to do that, you can. Just let me know. Question: do you think with a new cutting tool we'll be able to roleplay as "I expect you to die" moment from James Bond? Yes, I think you'll be able to do that. I imagine myself drifting aimlessly through space until I find a spot, kind of like Superman. Once the community opinion is the game is dead, dying, it's pretty much self-fulfilling prophecy. As new players Google it and see the dead game, dead game, it won't play it and then recommend them going to Star Citizen instead. Well, see, that's the question though. Because like I don't know if that's because like super fans are stupid. I love y'all. I love everyone who comes and watches my content, everyone who's here for Star Citizen content, but I hate fanatics because a space game is a space game. Give me a billion different space games. Give me Battlefield 2143. Bring back Titan, put it in space. Fuck yeah. Give me, a new free space. Brand new free space. Fuck yeah. X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. Bring that shit back. Like give me more space games. I love it. I want some more of it. And we should never root for the death of a space game. But I know that people will be like, oh, my tribe here, Star Citizen, blah, 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 blah. So that's, again, the question is, are people who are just Star Citizen backers who are going like, yeah, Elite dead? Or is it commanders who are saying that is the question. Starfield, I'm looking forward towards Starfield. Yes. Reach out to Commander Kate. I'll reach out. I don't know. Is she a very easy person to approach? I know she's really interested in Star Citizen, but. Checked the outs review yesterday. They had a commander on who back Star Citizen has rediscovered the game. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll talk I will talk to Stim, who's been on the captain's table. So there's root for death of a spaceman. Yes. Give me a lightsaber in Star Citizen. I will also make this point because I think a lot of people took this out of context. A lot of people said, oh yeah, Star Citizen isn't its lore isn't high. It's not hard science fiction. And I think there was some plans for it to be a little bit harder, but then people hated the idea, or CIG realized it wasn't fun, and they tiered back on the hardness of hard sci-fi realities of Star Citizen. But it doesn't mean that Star Citizen is Star Wars. It means it's a little bit more science fiction, a little bit more like high science fiction than The Expanse. Like The Expanse is itself not hard science fiction. It's close, and they do their best to mimic as much as possible the realities of it, like how gravity generation works in the ships, and how space combat would work, and how life would be like, and those sorts of like things, like Belters being tall and lanky, and Martians being big and bulky and tall, and all these sorts of things. Like they use the science as interesting ways of telling stories, but they bend the science whenever they need to tell an interesting story without the science being there. And CIG is very similar. Like, the idea of a floating city and a low mass gas giant isn't fucking bad. It's not bad science. It's just there are many different ways you could do it, and CIG chose an aesthetic that is intentionally more their style, rather than big gas bags and stuff like that. So it's more Star Trek than Expanse, but it's not Star Trek. It's more towards Star Trek than Expanse, but it's not like Star Trek. It's a little harder than Star Trek. It is exactly bad science. It's not bad science. It's, and I've heard people argue this, that it's not bad science. I've heard people, it is bad science. It's not bad science. It's just bending science a little bit. Yeah, it's more Firefly. Firefly is a good example. It's much more similar to Alien or Firefly. Because, I mean, Alien was the inspiration for Star Citizen. The aesthetics and the story of Star Citizen, or not story, but like the universe of Star Citizen was built off of inspiration from Prometheus and the original Aliens series, as well as Blade Runner. Chris has said that as much. We're talking about like the kind of lore, the kind of universe that Star Citizen resides in. Because a lot of people wanted The Expanse, and they're upset that they're getting something that's more akin to Star Trek. Yeah, close to Babylon 5. I would say close to Babylon 5. Though with B5, they actually have O'Neill cylinders, which, you know, the one problem about Star Citizen's lore is they have all this problem with population, and they need to go somewhere. It's like, build fucking O'Neill cylinders. We know how to do that now. Like, we just don't have the money or the material to build O'Neill cylinders. They're not difficult to build. Like, you can build them out of concrete. Like, it's really, steel and concrete. It's just the scale is so massive. And CIG, or a Star Citizen universe, you should be able to build O'Neill cylinders. They just don't. So, how close do you think? I would say it's a little bit more towards the high fantasy-esque areas of B5. More Minbari, less human, if that makes sense. The idea that there's resource scarcity in 2951 is ridiculous. You wouldn't have a trading game in Star Citizen if there was, unless you had the resource scarcity. UNSC Halo. Yeah, similar to that kind of Halo. But Halo is, of course, inspired by aliens. Shaquille O'Neal. Hamilton cylinders. Yeah. Expanse is not on Netflix. It's on Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, it's free. It's pretty good. Do I have any medical ships as of yet? Yes, I have a Cutlass Red. Mostly just for fun, because I thought like the idea behind the Cutlass Red was fun, and I enjoyed the Cutlass Red, and I like cutlasses. So, and what's a better way to smuggle drugs than a drug ship? Than a ship that's I'm sorry, officer, these are all just completely legal. They're medical supplies. Hey, Colin Sawyer. Yeah, I'm doing good. How you doing? Do you think Elite Dangerous would be just as good if they fixed some issues with Odyssey? No. I think the problem with Elite Dangerous comes down to the fact that they've never built the game. They've built the start of a game, but they've never delved deep into the game. They've added some interesting aspects to the game, but they've never fleshed it out enough. I feel like what FDev should have done instead of doing Odyssey is take what they'd learned from Elite Dangerous, build a new game, Elite Dangerous 2 or Elite Extreme or whatever, and build that from the start with space legs, with more in-depth gameplay, all of the stuff they've learned from Elite Dangerous, and build on top of it. Because it's been like Elite Dangerous released like 2014, 2015. It's been 6 or 7 years. Like, it's okay to take what you've learned and move on and build another game. I mean, a lot of people would be like, "Whoa, I've already played for Elite." It's like, you played Elite for 7 years. Don't shit on a team for building a better game. You know, AMA is Ask Me Anything. Yes. I'll send you a Twitter DM. I'm an Elite content creator, dipping his toes in Star Citizen. Yeah, feel free, Mechanic. I'd love to have you on. Elite Deadly, yes. Elite Really Dangerous. Like the thing that turned me off from Elite was engineers. I just couldn't get into engineers, and I've heard so many commanders complain about engineers because it was really a grind fest. It was like a lot of grinding for the sake of grinding. Like, you got a cool thing at the end, but it was like you had to do it to be competitive. So you had to put in hundreds of hours just to stay competitive. It was like Elite was trying to do an Eve, and like Elite should never do an Eve. It's just not what the kind of game Elite is. Elite mostly harmless. Someone asked about spaceships or about stations earlier. As far as I'm concerned, they can make science whatever they want. It's our universe. It's not our universe. Alternate universe science can be anything they want. That's how I see it. Yeah, I mean, they want to try to make it as long as everything is consistent within the universe. So do you think it's going to have a 7-year lifespan, Star Citizen? CIG has already said from the beginning that when Star Citizen's released, they're planning on 10 years. I think CIG could do it with what they're building. They could definitely do a 10-year. I mean, it's already been in development for 9, but like, you know, another 10 years of, you know, another 15, 20 years of Star Citizen, it wouldn't be impossible. Started ED about 2 months ago. Started Star Citizen months ago. Star Citizen is narrow and deep. ED is wide and shallow. And ED getting to into a Python and ED is single in a single night is rewarding. But Star Citizen would make you actually really earn being able to do next level ship with AUEC. Yeah. Well, since medical falls under my division, I'm looking forward to it myself. I was disappointed when the med gun got pushed back, but for now, I'm also lonely freelancing trucker. Okay. Kate's in the UK though. That's fine. I mean, the thing about doing this ED commander captain's table idea is to specifically do it at not a Saturday, like on a Wednesday during the middle of the day, like noon my time or like afternoon my time. So it's not a time I would normally be streaming, so it would be unique, but it would also be to bring people in and talk. So. Paul, I got some news about Darktide. As of 10, it's being pushed back to spring 2022. I heard, Commissar, and I knew that was going to happen because in February, the dev team, I followed the dev team, they were posting job applications or job openings for major designer for Darktide. It's like, you don't post major senior dev positions for a game that's going to release in 6 months. It's not going to happen. So they had to push back. I would almost guarantee you that Darktide's going to get pushed to November of 2022, just because of what I saw. Elite, mildly frustrating. Star Citizen has been filling our imagination for 10 years as it is. Yeah, I mean, 10 years is next year. I have over 500 hours in Elite, and I loved all of them, but I never felt the same universe as I do in Star Citizen. I think that's the major difference between Elite and Star Citizen, and I don't think Elite should ever try to mimic what Star Citizen's doing. They should focus on what they do well. And what Elite should do if they were to make a new game, which is what I'd hope they do, is focus on making 5 or 6 gameplay things deep, interesting, and diverse. Take the current frame they have and do that, and build the perspective and the scale of the universe with space legs in mind, including hanging around ships. Being able to walk around your ship and engage with it. But I think the thing about Elite is exploring. It's about this huge universe, this fucking massive universe. And to just go to an Earth-like planet that has nobody on it, that's millions of years from somewhere else, or millions of light years, whatever. Like, to be able to sit on there and just chill and watch the sunset would be amazing. You'd have to work on some things, and you might have some copy-paste, like, fauna sort of thing, which might not be as immersive, but that's not the point. Kerbal is an amazing game. It has fucking basic-ass trees as part of Kerbal, of Kerman, the main planet. It's not very complicated as its environments, but it's great for the scope and the scale and achievement. And I think that's what Elite needs to focus on, is that achievement. And also build a cadre of story. You have this amazing universe with these dynamic different political institutions. There should be some dynamic shit going on in that universe all the time. Now, not on a micro scale necessarily, but stations, wars, shit needs to be blown the fuck up. And it needs to be done in a way that funnels people towards it. Those are the two things that I don't really like about Elite that kind of made me frustrated, is their lack of desire to really push narrative, and their attempt to hot glue on fixes that should have just been built into a new game. You can walk around your ship in ED and Horizons in VR. You can actually walk around, because I've been told you can't. You can be in your ship, and you can hop between seats, but I've heard so many people say you can't walk around your ship in ED. Yeah. This didn't work. It kind of did. What ship is the Astrobub going to be on? Either a 600i or a Banu Merchantman or something like that. One of those two. Your body stays in the seat, but your head floats about. Yeah, it's not the same, though. I'd like to see Chris and CIG crew do some of their presentations in game. Yeah, I would like that as well. Yes. Imagine having AI outposts. Building your current outpost in moons creates an atmosphere of a real outpost environment, like ArcCorp, Shubin Mine. Yeah, I definitely would like to see that. You can walk in your ship using VR, but not intentionally. The cockpits are fully modeled, though. My content involves walking around, and it seems like it's intended. Oh, nice. Yep, 600i, good start soon. Yeah. Hey, Caniac. If you preface your questions with question, it helps make it easier for Paul to see a question. Yes, or if you just tag me in your question at the Astropub, then I'll be able to read it. The Kraken Pub. I'd like to do the Kraken, but it's too big. Same with the 890. Everyone's like, Paul, you can do an 890? It's like, I want to be a bartender, not a yacht operator. 600 is about the right size. So, because an 890 is huge. It's a yacht. I mean, I wouldn't mind bartending on someone's 890, but like, it's not like a bar is a bar. Like, you need a place to drink and a place to dance and a place to sit, and that's it. I don't need a pool in a bar. Connie Phoenix is about what I'd actually want, but a Connie Phoenix is also small. So, let me hear about this idea for this I had. Okay, let me look at this. Possible ground for ballistic weapons. Would it be possible to make an item that would replace a missile rack hardpoint and give more ammo for ballistic weapons, aka size 1 missile point, 25 more ballistic? I think that'd be cool. Or being able to swap out missile hardpoints for fuel. Those are both ideas I've heard in the past, but that would kind of just depend on stuff. Question: What do you think about spawn elevator having shuttle platform option as opposed to only going to a lobby and paying for a ride that can go straight to a pad hammer? That's planned, Merrick. Yeah, I like the idea, but yeah, it's planned. One of the things you'll notice is that all of the landing zones, all of the spaceports in game have a commercial transit location for you to walk onto a shuttle or a Genesis. Oh, really? I didn't know Star Citizen's in number 11. How are they able to track Star Citizen's numbers? Because I don't know how you're able to track concurrency with Star Citizen. You could with Elite since it's got it's on Steam, but you can bartend with T-Pain on an 890 bar. Yeah. Floating around in space somewhere and then it drops a beacon. That bar is open. Yeah, kind of. The idea is for me to kind of drop the ship near an outpost or something like that, a place where people can park and come in. But I'll have a bouncer who you can come in. You gotta take your weapons off, that kind of thing. How do you feel about missile operator mode? Personally, I absolutely love it. I agree. It's fantastic. They just need to make it work for co-pilots better. Because with the Connie, you have this big old MFD that gets in your way. Just flip that up. And you just flip up and you need to be able to activate it from there. But I don't think you can actually track targets from the passenger seat too often. Hey man, huge fan. Thanks for bringing up such content. Thank you, JDS, for watching. My throat is shot. Caterpillar, open up the side doors and make it a pop-up bar. Listen, there's a reason why I don't joke about the Cutlass Purple. Everyone's like, ha, 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 Cutlass Purple. I'm like, it's not a fucking joke. I would kill for a Cutlass Purple. I would murder for a Cutlass Purple. Look into my eyes. Just remove that disco ball and put it inside the little hangar. Have a little bar inside the hangar. The doors open and you can have like ramps so people can walk in. You have sound system you can set up. Specifically MMOpopulation.com. I do wonder how they get that though, Commander. Because concurrency is hard to track with Star Citizen. So I'm wondering where they're getting their stats from on that. That would be my question. Where do you say? Contract on the way. Hey man, huge fan. Thanks for bringing up such awesome. Thank you, John Doe. Oh, you're also chattiest, John, I guess. Yeah. Thank you, man. 11th, that does sound a little too high for Star Citizen. Star Citizen, I don't think has a ton of people playing. I think they said the peak is 50 to 100,000 a day, which is a lot, but it's definitely not we're still Star Citizen is still very small. How do I? Okay, okay. Who log on daily, but how do they track the log-ons? That's the question. Because there's no tracker that tells you the number of players who are on that's easily accessible. And I don't think you can scrape the information from Star Citizen from Star Citizen itself to get it. So it'd be interesting to see that. Yeah, definitely Black Desert would have more concurrence for sure. I've been pushing for 890 with the stripper pole and calling it the XX Explorer model. I feel like that would add a lot. I've joked about using my Connie as a food truck and roaming around the war zones to sell the troops. I'd only carry torpedo burritos. Hey man, I still think a food truck variant, a food truck ship is not a bad idea. People go, oh, wow, that's stupid. A food truck's yeah, you just have it be a one person or a medium or smaller medium, probably more medium, a medium sail ship. You have the Banu Merchantman, you have the Kraken Mall, the Kraken Kmart, the Privateer. What about the medium ships? You need something like that, but medium or large. Something that's between the massive ships. That would make sense. And being able to sell food is part of that. The Benny ship. Yeah, that's an old joke. UE Whammer. Yeah. Crusader Carriers food truck with variant on the Hercules. It could be. That would work as well. Oh, that giveaway is not happening right now. I forgot to turn off that timer from Sunday. We do giveaways on Sundays when we do live streams. So, but we're also giving away something right now. Exclamation point July. We'll post this in here as well. On Twitch, you said exclamation point July. For YouTube, I just put it in the chat, but I'll put it in the top comment as well. We're giving away a Constellation Taurus LTI game package, courtesy of CIG. Thank you, CIG. So make sure you get in on that one. All you got to be doing is following us on Twitch and subscribe to us on YouTube. If you do both of those things, you're good to go. So make sure you enter through that little link. Paul, instead of a Cutlass Purple, take a Drake Caterpillar, shorten the front, and boom, mobile bar with the dance floor. They've talked about the idea of adding a recreation module to the Caterpillar, which would add like a pool table and a bar and like a lounge, which would be cool. And I would definitely do it on the Caterpillar, because the Caterpillar is the exact vibe I'd like to go for the Astropub. Little gritty, little dingy, but you got the shit you need. So Sunday, missed opportunity. War Whammer with extra spicy jalapenos, but yeah. 7 a champagne room. Yes. If your ship was filled with burritos, I would become a pirate just to steal it. The Cutlass Red Light District. Champagne. Yeah. Bar in the Privateer. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the privateers would end up having... Yeah, I mean, basically, the way that they're planning on setting this stuff up with both the merchantman and the privateer is to take the food and weapons and equipment shops that you can see at a station and just have any of those open for it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we could do a bar as well. I'd imagine that had certain modules like bar, food, weapons, equipment, armor. And you could just like slop them in there. Why don't we have ships or rovers to sell ice cream? Good question. Bar in the Privateer. Is that a bar? Yeah, there's a bar signs for that, yeah. Yeah. So it looks very similar. Let me post this up here. This is a concept image from the Privateer. The Privateer. See right here. Bar, and there's a noodle shop here. You got a little shop right here, another little bar right here. People hanging out. Shady dude here. So yeah, they definitely exist. Yeah. So like I said, you'll probably have a couple of modules to choose from that you can slot into there. I would imagine you could swap out the bars, so it wouldn't be just like a bespoke setup, but you could set up whatever you like depending on what you want in there. A bar, a food shop, a restaurant, equipment, that kind of thing. Pioneer's the colony ship, yeah. And you can build stuff with. That ship's going to be cool when it comes out. Oh, yeah. I mean, the Kraken, I would expect the Kraken to come out faster than you think once they get server meshing in. That's the big key. It's like the server meshing comes in. The key would be, my guess would be the Kraken or the Javelin. And if they have Squadron 42 already out by then, which they won't, but then the Idris. Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, gambling parlor. I'd expect something like that to come in at some point. They already have betting on ships races and such. A flower shop. They'll go nuts with it. I think CIG will. The thing is if you look at the way that CIG builds landing zones, none of the landing zones are fully utilized. Like the only one that's fully utilized right now is Orison, and even then they have a bunch of different platforms. They could just build new platforms if they wanted to like expand that out if they wanted to. But most of the cities in Star Citizen, like Lorville and Area 18, are very small sections that they could easily expand out to create more sections for more shops, for more residential areas. So, Shane, as long as you pay me well. Genesis? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Genesis Starliner. Especially with all of the transportation stuff, that would definitely, and the fact that Crusader will be done. By the end of this year, Crusader is done. The Star Runner, you've got the Star Runner, the Star Lifter, and the Star Fighter. So the only thing you have left is this the Starliner. The Genesis is the last Crusader ship that's not out yet. So the Kraken donation goal when. I don't want to do F5, man. If I was going to buy a Kraken, I'd buy it in game. That's the thing. Is like I don't even own a 600. If I'm going to get a 600, I'm going to buy it in game. Can we get a cannabis dispensary? Is it still legal? CIG is smart enough not to put any real life drugs in Star Citizen because that's a trigger especially for Australian censors, is real life drugs. So they've invented their own space drugs, but there is some equivalency of cannabis. The closest thing to a cannabis in Star Citizen is Widow right now. Widow or ETAM, though ETAM is like, in terms of its effects, Widow is closer to it. But in terms of its, like, how you use it, ETAM is more like that. But ETAM is more of a focus drug, so. Like Star Wars with spices, yeah. Those spices is actually a reference to Dune. It wasn't necessarily meant as a drug, but it was meant as a reference to put it into something like the Dune universe. It's a nod to Dune. Problem mechanic. Yeah, there'll be stims. There is stims. Stims already exist in game, but stims are designed to keep you from, like, it's caffeine essentially. Hey kids, you want to buy some space drugs? Oh god. Yep, for clarification, Australia is really strict. You can thank us for getting refund policies for all online services and online games as well. That's true, but there's like super conservative policies when it comes to any kind of gaming in Australia. What are my streaming hours? I've got to go straight to grilling, but I love to check it next time. So I usually start around 9 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays and Fridays. And then on Saturdays, I start around 1 p.m. Eastern. Saturdays and Sundays, 1 p.m. So Thursday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern, which is, 8 p.m. Central and 12 Central and I think 6 p.m. Pacific, Thursday and Friday, and 10 a.m. Pacific, Saturday and Sunday. And I usually go pretty late. So I have that turned off for office hours. I should probably just leave it on for office hours, honestly. Because it's not that bad. Yeah, I'll fix that later. If I recall correctly, Fallout 3 had to change morphine to MedX because of Australian censors, possibly. But I think MedX was already in Fallout, so I don't know. And SWG Spice expanded your mind pools. So good. Yeah, it's very similar to Spice in the Dune universe. Worst drug in CIG is ships. It targets backers. Whew. White Widow is a good strain. Oh, shit. We have alcohol, tobacco, and caffeine in Star Citizen. If it's taxed, it's fine. Yeah. I can stop using med pens whenever I want. Oh, I mean, yeah, and I'll play that thing because, like, basically what Star Citizen's medical system is this.
Drugs.
It's just
drugs.
Thank you, James, for watching. Later, John. Thanks for hanging out, man. Quitting med pens is easy. I do it all the time. Usually the server makes me. Yeah, the biggest one is actually it's not just going to be refueling. It's going to be docking fees. A lot of people don't realize that docking fees are going to be a thing. Did Buster make that? No, it's from look up owl drug meme. It's an old Instagram or an old Vine slash. I think it's a Vine slash TikTok meme. I'm the reason the shops are always out of med pens. My arms come off. Star Citizen, we have a shot for that. Yes. So like that's essentially what the Star Citizen medical gameplay is. Is just what kind of cocktail of drugs can you be on to survive? Mikhail asks, have we gotten any more information on the Argo Raft? I've heard it's a cargo ship now that it uses the same boxes as the whole series. The Argo Raft was a leak, which wasn't confirmed. We have no idea what it is. And a good example of why leaks are kind of difficult to go by is look at the Perseus. The Perseus was leaked as the Odin a long time ago and had a slightly different design from when it was leaked. Things change, and they change the name, they change some other stuff over time, which is true. But another good way of looking at it is the leaks guys were saying that the Scorpius was going to be a light fighter, and it wasn't, because there was just some confusion inside CIG, so that's why that was leaked out. But it ended up being a heavy fighter. So whatever leaks says something, it's important to remember that what leaks is saying is usually old information or not always correct. So don't 100%, buy in on the idea that the raft either exists, that's its name, or what it does, because that could change over time. Same with the 400i. The 400i has supposedly been done for months and months and months, but hasn't been released yet. CIG has, it's 314, they didn't release the 400i, so it might release in 315 or might release in 316, but we don't know. And it could end up being very different from what it was originally designed as. Something could have gone wrong. They could have had to go back from the start. They've done that before with many ships. So, yeah, the Scorpius is a heavy fighter, not a light fighter. It's like a Hurricane. The 404 is very real. We even revealed it. I know, Gil. I know you did. But but it's always important to take leaks with a huge grain of salt, because CIG doesn't know what CIG is doing sometimes, because that's just how it works. And things change a lot in production because an idea that seems cool on paper, you start building it and you go, wait, this is fucking stupid. Or Chris comes in and says, this doesn't work. So. It has 4 cannons just in case the dual cuts off too, the front 2. Yeah. Also healing lasers, yeah. Now, serious business. Is 3.14 going 5? When is 315? When 315 is in wave 2? You already dreaming of pyro? No, Pedro, so we talked about this earlier in the stream, which is because server meshing there was more details released on server meshing from this latest roadmap roundup. I'd already started to see people hyping that it means that we might get server meshing by the end of the year because that server meshing tech that they're working on is scheduled to finish in August and September. So a lot of people are like, well, that means it's done for 315. So it means we're having server meshing after 315 or 316. And I was trying to say like, no, it's not. But because without server meshing, you don't get pyro. So pyro only happens when server meshing happens, and server meshing is getting done, but I wouldn't hype about it because it's just the progress tracker only shows you a limited amount of things that are getting done. And it doesn't mean that any of those things aren't just the start of other things that have to be done. So that was the whole kind of title. Draw you in, say, hey, what's up? What are we talking about? And then kind of explain, because I think it's an important thing to explain about to mitigate people's expectations before things goes out of control. But yeah, I wouldn't expect 314 to go live until the end of July. Honestly, there's just a lot of stuff they got to fix. There's a lot of stuff to add and move around. Maybe end of this week, more than likely next week would be wave 2. So, but we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if they're intentionally mislabeling things so Leaks gets it wrong. No, there's 700 people in a company. And anyone here worked in an office environment or any kind of organization that's over 20 people? You know what I mean when I say no one knows how to fucking talk to each other, and information is only passed when people think they need to do so. You don't have any information on anybody else's whereabouts, and one person having an emergency where they have to go deal with their sick family member can completely just derail something. And the more people, more moving parts into a system, the more one person can delay or cause issues or change things. So it just happens. They're not necessarily intentionally stopping them, because if they wanted to intentionally stop them, CIG could have traced down the leaker and the leakers or stemmed the flow of leaks months and months ago. They don't care. The issue is more just the way CIG's designed. People focus on the things they're supposed to focus on, and they don't necessarily know what everybody else is doing. You know, I'm sure, Gil, you don't have to comment on any of these things or not, but like, I know your team doesn't necessarily know what the gameplay team is doing or what the ship team is doing or what the network team is doing, because y'all work on your own little teams and you're focusing on your own thing. And maybe your supervisor will know what all the other people are doing, but they only talk maybe like once a week or maybe once a month to catch everybody up because you're too busy. I know that's generally how those things work, so. I don't expect 314 live till mid-August. That's probably about right. This is why I say anything in 316, tell it goodbye. Just expect it not to show up, because 315 is going to be late and 316 is going to be pushed. I'll tell you exactly when 316 is coming out. 316 is coming out on December 17th or between December 17th and December 19th. 2021. Look into my psychic mind and tell you that's exactly when it's going to happen between those 3 dates. Why? Because it's the week before Christmas. It's the one time you can almost guarantee a patch will go out. That I personally only really know what's going on in my bubble. The last ship reveal slipped by me because I was wrestling with Crusader Clouds. Yeah, so I mean, that's what I mean. Is that people work on their own bubble and their own team because they got to fix it. They got to fix their problems. They got to focus on that. I've had more than a few CIG developers come in and hang out and watch me and talk about lore. because they're like, I don't even know our own lore, because they don't work with the narrative team all the time. So they're doing their own thing, and they may get bits and pieces of what they're focusing on in the game, like Crusader or Microtech or this ship or the ship manufacturer or this armor, but they don't get the grand scope of things. So they'll come watch a couple episodes of like or Galactic Historian, or come watch me talk about this, and they go, oh, I get the scope a little bit better now. Because, when you're seeing one piece, it's harder to kind of get at the context and the greater context. So. Also, knowing how Salvage coming out this year. No, but I don't think that's because Salvage isn't going to make it. It's just because the people who are working on Salvage are likely also working on things like medical and inventory stuff. So that team has to be moved over, and so they can finish first. Yes, can we get a lots of emotes for Gil and for his work on the clouds and his team for working on stuff. Also, Gil, for the record, I follow you because of all of the VR stuff that you talk about. All of your VR stuff on Twitter are fantastic. That's actually something I've realized. It's like I follow a lot of CIG developers, but not because I really am interested in Star Citizen content from CIG developers, but because like I like Project Twinago from the car restoration project that John Crew's working on. I like a lot of the Warhammer minis that get painted up by some of the dev team. They kind of follow a lot of Warhammer folks. And they paint them, so I like that kind of stuff. And some of the personal hobby stuff that I see members of CIG do. It's fascinating because like for me, it's like part of following a project isn't just following the project, but following the people who make it and seeing their own lives, because you can start to see a little bit of influences and all those other things. It's also cool just to see other things, to know that CIG are people who have lives and families, and it's a job. This is a job. At the end of the day, they get paid. So, Astropub, do you think that they'll have a PA system at CIG that just plays CR quotes over and over again, supporting and working harder and faster playing? No, they don't. I've been to enough CIG studios. No, they don't. They do have really good drinks though. And there are some cool gaming spaces. At least when they had studios, they had game nights that they'd come and hang out for. Like LA used to do D&D. Various members of the LA team used to do D&D. I know some members of Manchester did Warhammer tournaments and stuff like that, little Warhammer stuff. I know Austin would do Theaters of War. They get done working, and they just go play Theaters of War. I may or may not have known a couple of QA devs who've talked about it extensively. Z Games after server meshing, so they have big ships to match fight. Yeah, I think so. They're definitely gonna have the big ships after server meshing. But the question is when does server meshing come in, and what is this scale upon which it works? I think that's what they're working on right now to make sure that it works. Focus is hitting the deadlines you and your team is doing to get a paycheck, baby. That's what it is. I mean, I don't discount anyone at CIG's work ethic and their own desire. They're probably backers. I'm sure they're all backers. I'm sure they all really want this project to succeed because they're all putting their creative effort into it. They want this to work. And I have known multiple CIG developers who need to stop working on the fucking game and get some fucking sleep. And if you're watching this, you know what I'm saying. Go to bed. Don't log into the server remotely. Don't fuck around with that thing because you need to fix it. Just get to sleep. Go watch the latest season of Loki, all right? Just relax, please. So I know that they're passionate about it, but at the end of the day, it's a paycheck. It's a job. Are there tracking devices in the plans? As far as I know, possibly. I mean, sure. I mean, like, there's no plans for it, but I wouldn't be. At a certain point, it's going to have to happen, especially with things like the bounty hunter gameplay and such. I'm looking for Tetra FR. He played with me in his first weeks of the game, but he disappeared from my friends list after a patch. I couldn't find him anymore. If anyone knows him or sees him, please tell him that Happy Kid is looking for him. So TETHRAFR. I don't know if we have many French folks here, but if you know that person, pass it on. I should be asleep, but I'm having too much fun multi-crewing a Connie with Holy Men and online. It's really fun. The like multi-crew games or the multi-crew gameplay is fun. It's good. That's on Sundays. That's all I do is I stream multi-crew gameplay with friends, with viewers and such, and we have a blast just doing some of the missions. Oh, you should remind me, B-Stars Season 2 started today. Oh, fuck it. Did it? God damn it. Well, I guess Cam and I will watch it tomorrow. I think I'll take your advice. Later, Gil. Enjoy it. I didn't know that it started up. I've been waiting for Season 2 to come out ever since, well, I guess Slime is on Season 2 still. Like, they did Slime Diaries and stuff like that, and it's still going. Now Loki's over, I need another TV series for Cam and I to watch, so it'll be a good one. Good night, Gil. Enjoy your anime. The Astro, will Star Citizen have missing people on milk cartons or Benny boxes? Possibly. Okay, I was curious. The Perseus needs less people than the Hammerhead, and if Pyro's coming soonish in the whole series, and with the whole series, I wonder if we might get small corvettes. Yeah, probably will. Sooner rather than later. Thank you, Jet. Yeah, Slime Season 2 Part 2 just started. We've been following along that closely. I tried to watch a couple other animes, but I've been kind of right now. I'm Miss Kobayashi Dragon Maid. I watched Season 2, Episode 1 of that. It was pretty good. Hashtag Free Wave 2. It'll happen when it's ready. Gundam Hathaway. I've heard people say Gundam Hathaway is the best Gundam in years, and I'm like, Cries and Iron-Blooded Orphans. That was fucking amazing, and nobody watched it. I guess Hathaway's a little bit more hype, though. Isn't Hathaway in the main universe? While some CIG people are here, don't forget to suggest Drake Leviathan, Drake Hydra, and Jake Sharbolis. Charybdis? I don't know. I mean, yeah, but we'll see. I've already made that pitch many times. The ferry ship, aka helicopter landing dock, or I butchered whatever it is. Again, though, that idea isn't needed until after server meshing. When you have organizations building bases deep into other territories, when you need to have that large number of people moving from place to place. Banu kidnap humans for labor. Someone has to deliver, right? Whew. They don't really kidnap. It's more tricking you. Like, you just don't owe Banu anything. Never owe Banu anything. As I said in the UC, yeah. So it is the main. I consider the UC the main timeline. I mean, have there been really any other than there was one series that Gundam Seed had a sequel in it, but I don't think any other Gundam series had a sequel set in the same universe other than the UC universe. Like the U.S. military, yeah. I want to say, if any CIG people are here, you guys are on the right track with the New Balance Pass. Good, fine job. Yes. Also, wasn't meant as an insult to CIG developers who are watching me. I just know that a lot of them need to fucking take a break. Like, more than once have I had friends at CIG. I'm like, are you on this? are you working right now? Why? Like, I have had conversations with Xylo where I'm just like, Xylo, go to bed. Xylo, go to bed. It's 3 fucking a.m. Xylo. The only reason why I'm up is because this editing thing isn't working. Go to fucking bed. Never owe anything to a Banu because they put you into indentured servitude and you pay them off. I don't know, knowledge. All right, y'all. You know, I'm going to end this on time finally, and not a 4-hour office hours. Just do a good solid 2-hour office hours. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this and you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe. And if you enjoyed this, like, comment down below with your own comments. If you're watching this, remember this was a live stream, so I can't respond to you right away. And if you were watching this live on Twitch, make sure you hit exclamation point. Exclamation point July on Twitch, and if you're on YouTube, right there in live on YouTube chat, you should see that right there. And yeah, to enter to win that Taurus, LTI Taurus. We'll be back tomorrow with more Star Citizen stuff. I think we'll probably just mess around the PTU a little bit. We'll see. Then Saturday we're going to be late on Saturday for a little bit, like maybe an hour or so, because I got to go stand in line to buy a super expensive box. But then we're also going to be doing a Captain's Table FF, which will have the tabletop RPG stuff we do, and then we'll do the Captain's Table, and then on Sunday we'll do another group stream in the PTU. And then next week is the launch of... next Tuesday is the launch of New World, so we'll definitely be streaming on Tuesday for the open beta of New World. So if you're interested in New World, I'll be playing a little Star Citizen beforehand, but we'll definitely go into New World just right off the bat. So it might be a Monday night stream, but we'll see. Pub crawl stream, we'll do the pub crawl stream when 314 goes live, for sure. Whichever one that the flagship is going to, I'm definitely going to be Syndicate. So if you want to like roll with me, I will be with the flagship's crew on Syndicate as a Syndicate. So my clock speed's going down. I don't know what you mean. Oh, I mean, I'm getting tired? Yeah. All right, y'all. Says invalid, by the way. I'll try to fix that. For some reason, it's been weird like that. Let me find the Discord. Exclamation point Discord. There we go. There's the Discord. Oh, New World. Fantastic. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Like I say every time, hope to see you again soon. But if I don't, hope to see you someday in the black. And remember, ex Historia ad Astra.